Hello, I'm Callum Shaw and welcome to Nerd Culture, the one-stop shop for all freaks, geeks and cliques looking to get their eyes on the nerdiest of pop culture, tech and gaming. Today's show is all about one of the games maybe perceived as the most geeky of all, Dungeons & Dragons. And to guide us through the winding labyrinths and treacherous mountains of the genre, I have two wonderful guests with me. First we have Dungeon Master Cameron, who'll be teaching us all about the maps, mobs and masterful storytelling that goes into a game. And secondly, we have the ever-playing Nina, who'll be telling us all about her experiences and what it's like to live through another character's shoes. But before we get to all that, here's a quick little video to fill you in on all you need to know.
Well, Dungeons & Dragons is one of many different systems of tabletop role-playing game, which is basically where you and a group of friends gather around a table. It can be in real life or it can be online. One person usually takes the role of a dungeon master. They run the game, they come up with the story, they create everyone who isn't the characters the other people are playing, and you all work together to tell a story.
It's more than the film, but it's not quite a video game either. It's like using your imagination to build up a story.
It's a way to have your fantasies come to life with other people and experience a whole new world, really.
But I think it's very much only limited by your imagination. You don't have to be limited by any kind of rule set or anything like that. It's all about the story. It's all about what you want to do with your characters and with your world.
I know video games, you're always a character that's determined for you, whereas Dungeons and Dragons you can create and express your own emotions, your own feelings, your own thoughts in this fantastical world.
It's a story that you can write yourself pretty much because there's plenty of different ways that you can approach the game. You can approach it in a very mechanical sort of game playing kind of way, or you can approach it like telling a story, and I think the second one appeals to me most.
It very much feels like how I imagine an author feels when they're writing a book, or writers of a screenplay or something. Even for people who don't have necessarily that set of skills.
Campaigns can go on from anything from being one-shot campaigns where it's just the one session to lasting a whole year or two.
In the end, it's roleplay for a reason, and you're there to play a character, no one's judging you, everyone is there in this fantasy world and they've all got their own characters.
Don't be put off basically by the name Dungeons & Dragons. It doesn't have to be a fantasy medieval setting, it could be anything you want it to be. Recently, with the advent of the internet and groups such as Critical Role, who have really increased the popularity of Dungeons & Dragons, I think it's really starting to become more mainstream. People begin to see what it's about.
So, Cameron is going to be drawing a couple of maps for us, running through the process and letting us know all about running a campaign. Meanwhile, Nina is going to be answering any questions we have on how these games play out, as well as sharing some personal experiences. So, Cameron, if you want to start, we'll come to you first.
Sure. So I'll be drawing a map of a small village which the party has encountered, which is currently being raided by elves, and there's a dragon hiding nearby, so we've got some interesting things to go on there. So the first thing to consider is where is this in the overall scope of the campaign and in the world. So we're going to have a little village on a river, and I'll start sort of sketching this out now.
Okay, perfect. So Nina, how do you go about sort of creating the worlds? Do you create the worlds, or are the worlds already given to you? How does it work?
Well, as a player, the worlds are going to be pretty much created by the DM, but it's kind of the story that the players drive forward. So, what he'll do is he'll create a world, he'll create a premise, and the players can do whatever they want with that. They can take however long or whatever kind of path to achieve the goals that have been set out for them.
All right, okay. And so, Cameron, what's the role of a dungeon master? What do you do within the game?
I like to think of it as I'm the storyteller. I sort of create the world, I give the players a bit of direction, but then I let them go off and do their own thing. So it's very much a two-way process between the dungeon master and the players. I'm there to facilitate them having a good time. Okay,
so are you not necessarily playing the game as per se, you're more overseeing it, or are you also included in the game?
I'm definitely included in the game. It's as much of a fun experience for me as it is for the players.
Okay, yeah. And now I understand that each player sort of has their own figurines. Can you tell us a little bit, about that, Nina, and how that sort of plays out within the game?
Well, I mean, typically they're useful for things like when you have overworld maps or you have combat sessions, just to know where you are and have an idea of what it kind of looks like to see your player character interacting with other people. But we actually didn't get these figurines that we have here until quite a bit in, when our characters had been fleshed out a bit more and we kind of knew who they were.
Right. Okay. And now, Cameron, can you run us through what you've drawn up here and how this map sort of runs out?
Sure. So this is like I said, a village that the party have come to, which is currently inhabited by a group of elves. Now, we'll use the party figurines to represent them when they arrive. But essentially what I've done here is I've laid out the general area. I'm going to put in some little hazards and some little interesting elements, for example, some catapults, which they could potentially use, and a bridge which might break underneath them, various things like that.
Okay, sweet. And now, obviously, the game is propelled forward by these dice. Can you tell us a little bit about them? Because obviously they're not usual sort of six-sided dice.
That's right, yeah. So the dice are used for various different things. It depends pretty much on how strong your character is or how strong their attacks are. But you'll have, like, they add an element of chance to the game, so not everything is going to happen in a circumscribed way. But you'll have like guiding numbers called stats, which will tell you generally how good your character is. But like within those parameters, you have dice rolls to, like I said, add some chance into the game.
Right. Okay. Now, I understand on the VT, you mentioned about sort of the lengths of campaigns and how some of them can go on for months.
Yeah.
What is the longest campaign that both of you have ever been included in?
I think 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's the same one for both of us.
Really?
Yeah.
And then how much of your time does that take up? Is that
Oh, once a week we'll have like a session. They go on for like 5-6 hours typically. One
Really?
session. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, it depends on how long we have really. I mean, sometimes we just get so into them that the sessions just get longer and longer.
okay? And do both of you have any sort of good stories, involved within Dungeons and Dragons? Anything funny that's happened to you whilst playing the games?
You go first.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy things that go on. For example, there was one time when there was a bunch of people fighting on an airship, and there was a dwarven wizard who accidentally fell off the side of the airship, and he had about 5 miles to go before he hit the sea. So he was trying to cast all these spells and trying to save himself, and he gets to about 100 meters above the sea, and he's got time to cast one last spell, and he tries to summon a great horned owl. And we look up the stats for a great horned owl. Turns out it's actually only 2 feet big, so the guy just crushes the owl and drowns anyway.
Okay, and you, Nina, any good stories?
Okay, so there was this one time where I was playing like this little gnome character, but she was the angriest little barbarian you'd ever meet in your life. So there was this one time where she was fighting a spider that was way too big for her to have any business fighting. So her move was going to be, so there was a bison in the way, and there was the massive spider.
I'm really sorry, Nina, that's all we've got time for. I'm really sorry about that. Sorry about
That's
cutting you
okay.
off there. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. But it was a great bite into the massive world of Dungeons & Dragons. A big thank you to our guests, Cameron and Nina. But we'll be with you next time with completely different nerd culture to explore. Until then, goodbye.